Well, I'm Jasmin. I'm down here in Studio B. Studio B sessions are made possible by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. I'm very happy to be welcoming Mike Savino, who plays under the name Tall, Tall Trees. Mike, welcome to Studio B.
How you doing? Good morning.
We're glad to have you. You want to start out with a tune?
Sure. Yeah, I'm going to start out with a little song called The Wind She Whispers.
Tall, Tall Trees, live here in Studio B at WNCW. That was fantastic. Thank you. That's from your new album, right?
That is, yes.
And congratulations on a fine album.
Thank you so much.
We've been enjoying it here at the station. It's a little bit different than your last album. You want to tell us what was going on to make you trying to take a different approach with this new record?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think as an artist, I've always been trying to peel back the layers of, you know, what I am as a songwriter and an artist. And yeah, with my last record, I self-produce my own music, so I tend to sit and work at it and really, make it perfect. And with this record, I really have been trying to expose myself more and, take away a lot of the layers and just leave the essence of what the song is. And I think with this record, I made it very fast, and, I was able to, prevent myself from overdoing it, which has been a goal for a long time. I'm not a natural singer or, front man. I've always been kind of a side man in a lot of projects. So, this one, I really wanted to step out front and, leave myself exposed and vulnerable.
Well, I think it works just fine, and we all really like it here, and I know our listeners have been enjoying it, so congratulations.
Thank you so much.
On a fine album. So you're playing tomorrow night at Ambrose West up in Asheville. The show kicks off at 8 o'clock, right?
It does, yeah.
And you were talking about some projects. I know that you worked for a while with Kishi Bashi.
I still do.
Okay,
yeah.
So you still touring?
Yeah, we're old friends. We've been playing together for almost 20 years. And yeah, he does kind of what I do on the fiddle, very experimental, and he uses a lot of loops as well. And yeah, we've been old friends and been touring together for the past 8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of these loops, I know we're on the radio, so unless you're watching us on our Facebook live stream, I wish the folks could see the setup here. Tell us a little bit. You have a name for this setup, don't you?
Well, the name has arisen. People call it the Banjotron. I have this is actually a 6-string banjo that was made here in Asheville by Pisca Banjos, and they custom made this for me with an extra low string on it. And that was a good kind of jumping off point for this record too. This is the first record that I had this banjo, and when the banjo has a bass string to it, it kind of becomes a different instrument and became more of a solo instrument as far as the way I can hear harmony and stuff. So I wrote a lot of the songs around that, and I was kind of cool with just having the banjo sound as like the center of piece of the record, But in addition to that, I do have a whole pedal board here full of all sorts of fun effects and loop pedals, and I also play drums on the banjo, which is, I guess, a little different than some people.
I think it works, and
yeah.
You might think, listening on the radio, that there's 4 or 5 people in here, but it's one person running all this, and it's really cool to watch. So,
thank you.
Can we get another tune out of you?
Sure. I'm going to play a song just without all the loops and stuff. That kind of, I've been really trying to embrace the acousticness of the instrument, and being down here in Asheville, I've been super inspired by so many great players and acoustic music and stuff, and that kind of seeped into my music a little more on this record.
Nice. This is Tall, Tall Trees, live on NCW. Tall, Tall Trees, live here in Studio B at WNCW. That was beautiful. Thanks.
Thank you.
That's so I was reading that you're originally from Long Island, but now you live on a farm, and
and I don't live on a farm.
You don't live on a farm. Okay.
I know it may seem like that from all my videos and whatnot.
Okay.
I did make this record on a farm here, out in Leicester, a farm called Franny's Farm. My friend Franny Tacey owns a farm out there, and she was kind enough to let me take up residence for a few weeks last year to make this record.
Okay. Well, how did you make it to North Carolina from Long Island?
That's a very good question. Well, most of my career I've lived in New York City, which is quite an exciting and thriving place, of course. But I kept coming through Asheville on tour, playing at the Mothlight or playing at the Gray Eagle, and I always felt some connection to here. Part of me always wanted to move to Burlington, Vermont, because it's kind of a groovy place and very progressive, but it's really, really cold. So when I started coming to Asheville, I got kind of a similar vibe from this place. It's very progressive. It's very open and free, for the South, and it's got a great music scene. And I always felt a connection with it. I'm not sure if it was my hippie roots or whatnot, but I kept coming here, and I started threatening people on stage that I was going to move here, and I met a girl, and here I am.
We're all glad you're here.
Yeah.
Speaking of your roots, did you say you started out playing jazz?
I did, yes. I actually went to school to play jazz, which is not a very good financial investment, to be honest. But yes, I played bass most of my life, and I spent a long time playing in New York City, playing in jazz clubs, and being a freelance bass player. And I really thought that was going to be my career until I picked up a banjo and I started to learn how to play and write songs, and I kind of connected with people more. I found if I sang and I, used my writing, I connected with people a lot easier than playing heady jazz music, which was my trajectory at that time. So it kind of turned me around, and here I am, 10 years later, doing this.
We're glad you're here, and we're glad you're doing what you're doing.
Me too.
So you did some traveling in South America. Is that where you picked up the banjo?
I did. Well, surprisingly, yes. I was traveling in Brazil. I was in a group that was kind of playing hybrid Brazilian music and American music.
Okay.
And we took several trips down to Brazil, and we were touring, and we made a record down there with some local musicians. And I found this little Brazilian banjo in this shop, and I started playing around with it because what we were doing, I played electric bass at the time, and we were playing in these like town circles with all these folk musicians playing drums, and I had this electric bass, and I was like, I can't play. It was really, I was bummed, and I found this banjo in this little shop, and I started learning how to play it, and so I could play acoustically in the streets with these people, and it kind of set me off on a songwriting tear, and it just kind of happened that way.
Okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your songwriting process and maybe get another one out of you?
Sure. Songwriting process is kind of all over the place. I try and work fast, but not everything comes fast. I using a lot of loops and stuff like that used to be my songwriting process. Like I would just throw things at my loops and my pedal board and see what came up and try and write music around that. But more of lately, because of the acoustic music thing, I've been trying to just sit on the porch and work songs out without any pedals or anything like that, and just so I can kind of play through songs acoustically and they sound good. So that's been something, for me. I never really wanted to be a singer-songwriter with an acoustic guitar up there doing that thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, I always wanted to be a little different. And, so it's kind of a hybrid of the two things, a lot of experimentation, but also making sure I have a solid song without any of it,
And you can tell that all in this new record. So how about we hear another tune from you?
Sure. Yeah, I'm tuning up.
Okay. I'll go ahead and remind them while you're tuning up again about your show tomorrow night at Ambrose West in Asheville. It kicks off at 8 o'clock. And he's got a fine new record, Tall, Tall Trees, a wave of golden things. Glad to have him here in Studio B.
Cool. Thank you so much. This song is off the new record. It's called Happy Birthday in Jail. I actually used one of these Brazilian rhythms for this song, so very appropriate. We were talking about it.
Tall, Tall Trees live here in Studio B. That was Happy Birthday in Jail from your new record.
It's from my dad.
Okay. I was
No, I'm kidding.
I was going to ask the backstory. I didn't know if you could tell us or not.
I'd rather keep that one secret.
It's a great tune, and it's
so
from
much.
a fine new album. We're so glad that you were able to come down here and play for us.
Me
and
too.
hope you have a fun time with your show tomorrow night in Ambrose West.
Yes.
And have you got an opener, or are you starting at 8
Yes,
o'clock?
our dear friend Slowpacker,
Okay.
who are kind of a newer band in town that kind of formed out of the remnants of a band called Midnight Snack, which you might know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll check them out tomorrow.
Mhm.
Do you want to give folks Facebook, email, website to reach you?
Sure, you can find me. Yeah, just Googling Tall Tall Trees is probably the way to go. Facebook, Instagram. I've recently had a bit of a Instagram debacle when I deleted my Instagram on the day that my record came out,
Oh, no.
which was very, very, I guess exciting was the is the word, but they were very kind to give it back to me, which was really nice. But don't ever do that is my advice.
Okay, some advice there from Mike.
Uh-huh.
We appreciate you coming down. Live Studio B sessions are made possible by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. I'm Jasmin.